Sadhguruji on what he thinks about India today and what he thinks about politics in India today. That's coming up. Namaskaram, Sadhguruji, and it's such a pleasure to have you back on Frankly Speaking. And whenever we meet and exchange views, it's always so frank. So I'm hoping even today you'll keep up the tradition.
What can I do? You title your show like that.
Sadhguruji, we're talking at a time when the country is all set, hosting the G20. We worked hard towards it. And the basic theme for this event is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It's a message that clearly this theme represents. And the cultural and the spiritual lens through which India is often seen. What does this event actually mean for India?
See, there are many geopolitical situations in the world which does not allow the world powers. When you say G20, you're talking about 20 people who determine in many ways what happens on this planet, literally. Whether war happens, peace happens, prosperity happens, poverty happens is determined by these 20 people. That's how powerful it is. So these are the 20 largest economies in the world. So we've always been, or the world has always been focusing on military power, economic power, which is important, no question about that. But we've forgotten about the people's involvement and engagement. So we are not ignoring the geopolitical and economic aspects, that is very much there. And we also hosted in the Yoga Center Science and Technology G20 event. But even there, though it was all science people who came there, the culture of the place, the ethos of how things are conducted, how people are, they were overwhelmed by it. So the idea is to do that to the whole G20 group, the top leaders who are coming here. Most of the major nations, the leaders are coming here, really the top leaders are here. So impressing them with the complexity of what India is, the sophistication of what India is. When I say complexity and sophistication, we must understand that, for example, recently, well, moon has been in news, you know.
Absolutely. With Chandrayaan and the Shiv Shakti point, yes, it's been in the news.
So, talking about that, let's say something as simple as whether the planet is round or flat. Till a few hundred years ago, the whole world was arguing. But if you look back into Surya Samhita, which is 2,700 years or 2,700 to 3,000 years old, manifesto or a mandate that is written, where clearly they're describing the study of the planet as Bhughol, which means we already knew the planet is round. There are more ancient drawings and paintings where the planet Earth is travelling on a turtle's back and it's going around the sun. When the whole world, its scriptures, the world's scriptures, world's ignorance and the world's dogma was saying that planet Earth is the center of the universe, we knew that planet is going around the sun even in this planetary system. Without knowing this, you cannot have knowledge, you cannot develop mathematics. Astronomy and mathematics cannot be separated. So, the basis for modern science is Indian mathematics, any number of scientists have validated that. And the basis for modern astronomy is also Indian sciences. How did all this happen? This is time to present that all this happened because people were so deeply invested in enhancing their perception rather than just exploring the world around. How to see more with what we have right now, how to perceive more, this has always been the thing. So our culture, the sophistication that I'm talking about is not… our culture is not just entertainment. Our culture is always about profoundness. If you just sing a simple song, even in a cinema song, there are profound sentences coming out, which is not the case anywhere in the world. So how do we present it to this international group of people is a challenge. It's not easy in 2 days that they're here, you can do all that. But at least giving them a taste, if they don't understand, at least they must be overwhelmed. I think that is the effort that's happening.
We are a noisy democracy, and in noisy democracies there's noise about everything. Not just within the country, but then we have opinions coming from outside the country. Some say that there are sections of the society that are under attack, and there is no democracy that survives. What is the front foot that India can show the world through this particular hosting of G20 Summit?
See, the very fact that everybody can speak so loudly and make such a cacophony of it shows that there is a living democracy. I don't think… I'm not saying this in any jest, I'm saying this in jest, not in insult. I don't think there's any country on the planet where the television shows are as noisy as ours. 5 people can speak at the same time, though you try to yell them down like a headmistress, they're yelling themselves, unless you fade them down.
On my show, I do control them. There are others who don't.
No, we hear all the sounds, you may not hear. So I'm saying, this much noise, in which country can they do? They cannot. So, whether democracy is there or not is not even a question. If somebody is raising a question, that proves that there is democracy, there is no issue about that. There must be some accountability of speaking based on facts, that you can't just imagine something and say it. That has to come into the thing. I hope they do that, because right now opposition parties are getting together, which is a nice thing in a democracy. Everybody wants to win the election, it's a good thing. But they must also come out with this, that it's important that we don't abuse each other, we pull out facts. I'm sure in everybody's administration there are negative facts. Pull out the negative facts and expose them, rather than simply throwing something which is not true on personal abuses which are not nice in a public discourse.
You're talking about spiritualism, you're talking about science. I want to ask you, with such conflicting ideologies, do you think there is going to be a stable alliance possible? And I'm talking only through the prism of science, not politics. Anything that has so many pushes and pulls, can it be stable?
I don't know what conflicting ideologies you're seeing. I don't see any ideology. It is just coming together of people, because this is a right of a political party to fight, to get into power, because that's what they've invested their lives into, and it's perfectly okay.
Okay. It's okay. There's no ideology.
There's no
just
ideology.
Power.
Yes, there's no ideology. They want to rule.
There's no spiritualism and there's no science there.
The science of getting into power.
But I want you to tell our viewers, because many, as I said, in this noisy democracy have talked about the fact that we are non-secular when we say Shiv Shakti. We're only favoring one religion.
As you know, I've already spoken about this. What is Apollo? What is Luna? What is Neptune? What is Saturn? What is Mars? What is Jupiter? These are all Greek and Roman gods. You had no problem. You read it in your textbook, it was very secular. How come Shiv Shakti is the only thing you have a problem with? Anyway, Shiv Shakti, we use it in various ways. Here in this case, we are not talking about Shiva Shakti as two deities of the Hindu pantheon. Here we are talking about two fundamental forces. See, everything in the universe, every physical thing in the universe has a rotation process. Everything is on a spin, let's put it that way, including the news.
Yeah, we are the original spin doctors.
So everything is on a spin, from a subatomic particle to an atom to everything. Even the nanoparticles are on a certain kind of spin. But the significant thing is there are only two kinds of spins. there is clockwise, counterclockwise spins. It cannot spin in different ways, it cannot spin in 100 different ways, only two ways. They call it scientifically, the modern science calls it up and down spin, but there are only two choices of spin. This, here in this body we call this Ida Pingala, you know, it's like this, clockwise, counterclockwise is called Ida Pingala. Shiva Shakti, somebody calls it yin and yang. So this is not something you made up, this is a universal reality. So calling that spade that is most relevant and perfect in many ways because, see, we need to understand it is the cycles of the moon which gives birth to us.
Do you find it awkward or do you find it odd that the British Prime Minister is of Indian origin? He says Jai Siya Ram, he does the Gau Puja, but nobody calls him non-secular in Britain. But if our Prime Minister does any puja, in India he's called non-secular, including, you know, when he went for the foundation stone laying of the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya.
So about the British Prime Minister being Hindu is most appropriate because the British have taken to the Indian curry naturally. Someone of Indian origin has to be in charge, and it is not an Indian population or Indian origin population who elected him, it's the British who have elected him one way or the other. So somebody has gotten there out of his competence, you shouldn't make fuss about that as to what he is personally. The same goes for our Prime Minister, he's gotten there out of his competence. Nobody should bother what his private life is and what he worships, what he doesn't worship, is nobody's business. And even today, in the British way of doing things, that any major event, if they go, you know, for anything they have to go to the king, it's still a monarchy. You can't eat dinner, even if the world leaders are there, till the chaplain comes and says the prayer. Everybody sits there quietly, only after the prayer they eat. So what prayer do? Of course they do Christian Anglican prayer. So in India what do? Naturally, whatever is the culturally thing, but most of our prayers are not prayers, our prayers are invocations, general well-being of the human being, not aimed towards anything particular. And above all, we are not dogmatic and we are not sectarian. When we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, we are clearly saying this is not a dogma because we have been cultured and curated for a long time in our own home. Our mother will worship one god, our father will worship one god, every sibling will worship another god. When our uncle comes, we have to set up a separate god for him. We had never any problem. So, oh, uncle is coming, this new god has to come today, otherwise he will not know how to worship, so we'll set it up. This was true in our families. Uncle is coming, he doesn't worship the gods that our people are worshipping, a new god will be installed for him. So we never had this problem because how you connect with something is not our issue, how you are is the only issue. I think we should get the whole world there, that how you are right now, how inclusive you are, how wonderful you are is more important than how you're trying to get there.